Hey, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums, and today I have reached my 1200th video. Technically 1201st because one video got unblocked, so it is considered existent. So, but still, this technically is my 1200th video. I've been at it for like 3.5 years now. Yay! And today I'm going to do a special album review, a very special album review, and that would be Sonic Youth's Daydream Nation. So, yeah, Sonic Youth, band from the 80s, post-punk noise rock, pre-grunge, if you would consider that. And they are a band from New York, I believe. Now, I'm not extremely familiar with their work, I'm gonna be honest here. I, um, I heard Teenage Riot last year, and I was just so fascinated and enamored with it. I was like, God damn, I need to check out the rest of the album. So I checked out the rest of the album, and now I'm gonna talk about it. Of course, it's going to require repeated listens, but this is my first thoughts, anyways. So, post-punk noise rock band Sonic Youth released Daydream Nation, their fifth studio album in the year 1988. And this album is pretty special because not only is it because it is a double album with four sides when you buy it on vinyl, but also most of the songs on this album are 7 minutes long, 8 minutes long, 6 minutes long. They are super duper long. They have intros, little breaks, breakdowns. They got outros. They got little bits here and there. So there's a lot to work with. They're not just working with these very formulaic rock hits. They want to make bolder, more ambitious, more experimental music with a longer time frame. And it really shows on this album. They really go hard instrumentally. There are a lot of moments in this album that's so noisy and abrasive and grungy and sludgy. It's probably pretty ahead of its time in 1988. And I know that during the 80s, thrash metal, black metal, heavy metal, these metal acts, they are also getting more and more popular. But still, for Sonic Youth, they're not exactly going for the metal sound, but more punk sound, yet noisier, but not metal. And so, yeah, Kim Gordon, female vocalist, also bassist, Thurston Moore, guitarist, also vocalist, Lee Ronaldo, guitarist, and drummer Steve Shelley. Together, they are Sonic Youth, and this is Daydream Nation. And of course, the album has to start off with the one and only Teenage Riot. Teenage Riot, 3 words. And it's easily one of my favorite songs of the entire 80s, honestly. Yeah, it starts off with these really unclear, whispery vocal bits in the back, which is kind of confusing, but it perfectly builds up to the actual core part of the track, where we get these amazingly sunny, golden, warm, sweet bass, and then these guitars, which are just very lively, very youthful. It's Sonic Youth, very youthful. And then we got these vocals from Thurston Moore, which are really amateurish, but it adds to the liveliness and the rawness to the track really well. Yeah, I just really love the build up of the guitars and the drums to the chorus, which is really affirming and sweet and catchy, yet driving and enraging at the same time. It's so blissful and energetic, but at the same time it doesn't just blast off like it's the happiest song in the world. It's still reserved. And this track is easily one of the best album openers of all times. This track is originally called Song for the President or something, but now it's called Teenage Riot. And yeah, we have some interesting lyrics as well. Amazing track. Second track, Silver Rocket, is shorter. They worked on a nastier, guitar riff on this track. The drums are really fast paced and very tight. The vocals are shouty. Halfway through the track, we get a very noisy breakdown. Noisy, grotesque, disgusting, very, very abrasive, and it sort of melts down into a wall, a sea of noise, until at the very, very end, the guitars and the drums, they sort of return in high speed, like it's back for vengeance or something. Then we have the track The Sprawl, which is a nearly 8-minute long song, and lyrically it is heavily inspired by dystopian sci-fi worlds. And even though the verses sound really straightforward and plain, the chorus of this track is very dissonant and bitter, and it adds so much layer and personality to this track, which is really, really nice. Come down to the store, you can buy some more. The track ends off on a sea of very desolate and abandoned guitars, which is fantastic. And then we have Cross the Breeze, another really solid track, honestly. We start off with these soft, shimmery guitars, but they are paired with these extremely fast, hyper-speed drums, ominously enraged bass as well. And it sort of quiets down at the very, very end and sort of wraps up, I think, the first quarter of the album, I believe. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's another very memorable track. I'll say this, though. A lot of the tracks on this album sound pretty similar in that, yeah, they're noisy post-punk ragers. So if there's one thing that I wish this album would have had more of, that would be the versatility. But that being said, it's still a really solid track list. We have the track Eric's Trip, which is not as memorable as other tracks on the album, in my opinion. The bass lines and the guitar lines are pretty much in the vein of the guitar lines and bass lines of the rest of the album. And we have lyrics heavily inspired by modern contemporary artist Andy Warhol. And we got these vocal bits that are half sung, half spoken. And then we have the track Total Trash, which is anything but total trash. It has these mid-paced, sweet and youthful, lively guitars, and they sort of progressively get noisier and noisier as the track progresses. And later on, at the very end, it becomes very drony, sour, raw, even detuned. Again, these guitar layers and the feedback, they just stack on top of one another to form this incredibly dense and grotesque wall of sounds, and it sounds very trashy, but in a fantastic way. In a way, it's like graffiti sprayed onto a wall again and again and again and again and again, and it's just a splash of odd colors and mixtures. And yeah, the detuned guitars is definitely a nice touch. Hey Joni has a pretty regular, pretty plain guitar riff, but what's really special about this track is the dreamy, sweet little ringing tone in the middle of the track, which is kind of cool. And it sort of goes up and down in arpeggio. The track Providence is a 3-minute long interlude with these fuzzy radio tunes that just sounds, not radio tunes, radio tones. Where it sounds very grainy and fuzzy. We hear people speaking from a distance, not really clear of what they're actually saying. We hear noises, bits and pieces here and there, and it's very faint. It's very dissociating. And it transitions into Candle, one of the more straightforward tracks on the entire album. We have a very fantastic, dreamy and nostalgic chord progression, and then these guitars paired with the chord progression is incredibly violent. They're swirling, they're sliding, they're wailing, they're screaming. The chorus is also really catchy and tight. The track Rain King has these very sludgy and noisy guitar tones that are just rumbling. They completely dominate the entire track. And we also get these running drums that are super duper tight. But other than these two elements of the track, this track is still kinda relatively regular, in my opinion. The track Kissability is a special one where the guitars are clearer and they're clearly sadder. Their tone is a little more pessimistic than other tracks on the album. And lyrically, it is about Hollywood rumors, like oh, this celebrity is dating that celebrity, and that celebrity has a crush on this celebrity. And yeah, 30 something years later, it's still going on. It's been going on forever, and it's. Why? Celebrity culture. Why? And we also get these ringing, ominous toned keys, which is amazing. And also, the bridge of this track suddenly bursted into something incredibly wild and enraged and fiery and crazy. It's almost like the anger being contained for a long time had finally blasted off, and it's just crazy. And then the album ends off with Trilogy, which is a trilogy of 3 tracks separated to A, The Wonder, B, Hyperstation, and Z, Eliminator Jr. A, The Wonder is very energetic and exciting, but it's also very bitter, rough, and mechanical. It sounds like one of the more rawer tracks on the entire album. Hyperstation is over 7 minutes long. Again, the instrumentals are super heavy, and the guitar tones and the mood of the track overall is very apocalyptic. It's like it's about to be the end of the world. It's pretty desolate. The guitars are icy, and the bass is constantly ringing, just constantly bang 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 bang, and it just adds on to the mechanicalness of the track. And the album ends up with Z, Eliminator Jr., which is a very short, loud, scratchy, wild, ragey with random moans and grunts in the back. Kind of confusing, and I wouldn't say it's one of the better closers for an album. If they make a super slow paced or quiet ending to the album, it may be kind of special. It may be a great idea, or maybe they could go all out for the ending of the album. That would be amazing as well. But this is kind of a anticlimactic for an ending. But still, I think a bulk of the tracks on the album is fantastic. I think I am a huge sucker for post-punk and noise rock. So this album easily clicked for me. But still, there are still, a few tracks here and there that feel a little more regular and a little more basic than other tracks. But overall, it's bold, it's ambitious, it's abrasive, it's raw, yet it doesn't shy away from something a little more fun, something a little quirkier. And yeah, Sonic Youth Daydream Nation. Good album, great album, love this album, yay. Favorite track here is Teenage Riot. Least favorite is probably the ending of the album. Yeah, I am giving Sonic Youth's Daydream Nation a light to decent 9 out of 10. So, have you listened to Sonic Youth's Daydream Nation from 1 to 10? How much you rate it? Like, and subscribe if you want more. And thanks for watching. I will be reviewing 3 more local albums. Not technically local. 1 Hong Kong album, 1 from Taiwan, 1 from Singapore. And then I'll be reviewing Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon 3 and the latest Taylor Swift album. And then that's it for 2020. Yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. That's it.